Story on the show this morning. It is that text or call that many of us have probably been dreading over the past year. Getting a positive test or a track and trace telling you that you've got to self-isolate, being pinged by the app. I mean, that's happened to quite a few people, hasn't it? And yeah, if you're in a job where you get sick pay or you can afford to, and it's fine, isn't it? You isolate. Hopefully, your symptoms aren't too bad, and then that's it. But for the lowest paid, staying at home and not going to work for 10 days might not really be an option. And if it is, it could be a massive financial hit. Despite the government offering £500 payments to those on low incomes, figures for Herefordshire and Worcestershire show that more than half of those who apply are actually getting rejected. According to figures from our local councils, more than 3,000 people asked for help. Only 1,300 actually received any money. So why are so many people being rejected? Our political reporter James Pearson has been investigating.
For one working mum from Worcestershire who didn't want to be identified, it's an impossible situation. Her words have been voiced by a journalist.
I'm a single mum and applied for the £500, but I was told I didn't meet the criteria. All I got was statutory sick pay and I was unable to pay my rent that month. I worry about sending him back to school too because of the extra unnecessary exposure. Again, I've been told I'll only get statutory sick pay, so although I don't feel happy about returning to work, I'll have no choice. If I have to self-isolate again, I really can't afford to.
Yeah, that's it, isn't it? I suppose in a nutshell, of course, people want to do the right thing. They absolutely do. But you can't do the right thing if you can't afford to pay your bills and pay the rent and put food on the table. It's as simple as that, isn't it? The government scientific advisors, SAGE, have actually been warning about this. They've warned repeatedly that concerns over money could lead to people breaking the rules on self-isolation. Dr. David Nichols, a consultant neurologist, also the LibDems parliamentary candidate for Bromsgrove at the last general election. He's been gathering the figures on this. David, morning.
Good morning, Elliot.
Well, what do you make of these figures, then?
In a way, it doesn't surprise me, but it is shocking. I've been banging on about track and trace, really, for the last year, because in Britain, we have the lowest sick pay of any OECD country, basically. So people want to do the right thing, but they're not supported. So, you could be doing 1 million tests a minute, but unless you change people's behaviour to support them to do the right thing, they're made to make the choice between poverty and public health, and that's just not fair.
And of this money that is available, why do you think so many people are getting turned down for it?
Well, we don't know, because I put out a Freedom of Information request, not just to Bromsgrove District Council where I live, but also every District Council in Worcestershire, and there's no appeals process. So most people are being turned down. And in fact, just a back-of-the-envelope calculation, if you look at those 3,000 people that applied, if you gave them all 500 quid, it would cost £1.5 million, which sounds like a lot of money, but when we're spending up to 37 billion on the whole track and trace system...
It's not a lot, is it?
It's not a lot, and...
Is that the answer then? Is it as simple as that? Just anyone who gets pinged, who gets self-isolated, regardless of what your income is, just give them a payment to cover it?
No, I don't think it's that simple, because actually you need to have a process to make sure people are actually isolating. So, it's a complex thing, and we're asking people to do a difficult thing, and you need to have a monitoring process to see that people are self-isolating. And the fact of the matter is other countries have done this better. The vaccine program has been brilliant, but it's been brilliant because we insourced it to British General Practice, which was fantastic. And the reason this hasn't worked is we've outsourced it to Serco and others, basically, when actually if we'd used local public health teams, as the LibDems have been talking about for months, basically, we could have done this a better job for less money.
All right. Thank you very much. We did ask to speak. I mean, you heard there that Dr. David Nichols put in a Freedom of Information request, and obviously we've chased this up as well. We've asked to speak to a number of our local councils this morning where people are having their payments turned down, and surprise, surprise, no one wanted to be interviewed. And we were just told this. We were given a fairly bland statement saying that it's just following criteria set by the government. Also, we did ask to speak to the government. We asked for someone from the Department of Health, and we were just given this statement. It says, we recognise it's an incredibly difficult time for many people. To date, we've made £110 million available for the scheme, and as announced in the government's roadmap for easing restrictions, we're extending it to the summer, as well as expanding eligibility criteria to cover parents and guardians who need to stay off work and look after a child who's isolating. So There may be more money available. It may go to more people. But the problem is, as we're starting to come out of it, it's not such an issue, is it now? Really, this money needed to be available months ago to make the situation better. So